This video will help you with solving multi-step inequalities. This video can also help you with solving multi-step equations because they're all the same steps. So here's our checklist. First, we have to distribute if necessary. Second, we have to combine like terms if necessary. Remember, like terms are terms that have the same variable part. So for example, 5y and negative 3y would be like terms because they both have y's. So I can combine them or put them together. Also remember that negative 7, this is another example, 2, 10, and 1/2. These are also all like terms because they're all constants, or they're all just numbers. So we can combine these because they're like terms. Next, remember that we have to get variable terms on one side and then constants on the other side. So we do this by using inverse operations and our integer operation rules. So let's do a problem together. So remember our checklist. First, I have to distribute if necessary. In this case, I know it's necessary because I see these parentheses. So I'm going to distribute this 4 to the 3x and then 4 to the minus 5, or to the negative 5. So 4 times 3x I know is 12x, and then 4 times this negative 5 I know is negative 20. But when I write it, it's going to look like minus 20. So 12x minus 20. Then I'll bring down the rest of my inequality. So the next thing I want to do, if I can, is combine like terms. On the left side, I see that I can combine the negative 20 and the plus 7. So on the left side, it becomes 12x, and I know that negative 20 plus 7 is negative 13, but when I write it, I'm going to think of it as minus 13. So 12x minus 13. Bring down the rest of my inequality, 8x plus 3. And so now I'm at step 3. So what I want to do next is get my variable terms on one side and then all my constants on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 8x from both sides. And then getting rid of, or getting the variable terms on one side is helpful because it'll make our multi-step inequality look like a two-step inequality. So on the left side, 12x minus 8x I know is 4x. And then I'm going to bring down this entire minus 13. One thing that some of us forget to do is bring down the minus 13. So bring down the minus 13, greater than or equal to. And then 8x minus 8x I know is 0, so then I'm going to bring down this plus 3. When I see it, I'm just going to bring down this 3 because it's positive 3. So the next thing I want to do, now I see that it's a two-step inequality. So now it's become a two-step inequality, and I know how to solve two-step inequalities. I get rid of my constant by using inverse operations. So this cancels out, and I have 4x is greater than or equal to 16. So now if I look here, it's become a one-step inequality. So to get the x by itself, I want to divide both sides by 4. So x is greater than or equal to 4. So this solution is telling me that any number that is greater than or equal to 4, so 4, 5, 6, and so on to infinity, is going to make this inequality true when I plug it in. So again, x is greater than or equal to 4. So what I want you to do now is try one on your own. So do this one in your notebook, and then you can pause the video and do it. And once you're done, unpause the video, and then continue watching the video, and we'll work it out together and see if you're correct. So do this one in your notebook on your own. So let's see how you did. The first thing I want to do, remember on my checklist, is distribute if necessary. I know here I have to distribute because I see these parentheses. So I'm going to distribute the 3 to the 5h and then 3 to the 1. I know that 3 times 5h is 15h, and 3 times 1 I know is 3, so it's going to be plus 3. And I'll bring down the rest of my inequality. The next thing I want to do, if I can, is to combine like terms. So I see that on the left side I can combine the 3 and the 27. So on the left side we'll have 15h. I know that 3 plus 27 is 30. Bring down the rest of my inequality. Now I want to get the variable terms on one side and then the constants on the other side. So what I'm going to do is subtract 10h from both sides. So I'll subtract 10h from both sides. On the left side, 15h minus 10h I know is 5h. And then I'll bring down this plus 30. So remember to bring down the plus 30. Bring down my inequality symbol. The 10h minus 10h cancels out. And then I'll bring down this 60. So plus 60 I know is positive 60. So the next thing I want to do is, now I see that it's a two-step inequality, so I want to subtract 30 from both sides. And then I have 5h is less than 30, so now it's one step. I'm going to divide both sides by 5, so I'll get h is less than 6. So our solution to this inequality is h is less than 6. Any number that is less than 6, when I plug it into my original inequality, will make it true. So the next thing I want you to do is, you're going to have a total of 6 practice problems. Here are the first 2 that you're going to finish or do in your notebook. So you can pause the video, do the practice problems. Once you're done, unpause the video, keep watching, and then we'll work it out together and see if you're correct. So complete numbers 1 and 2. So let's see how you did with number 1. So the first thing I want to do, remember, is distribute if I have to. So here I can see that I have to distribute because I see the parentheses. So I know that 3 times 2 is 6, and then 3 times 2y I know is 6y, so positive 6y, 6 plus 6y. Then I'll bring down the rest of my inequality. So the next thing I want to do is combine like terms if necessary, or if I can. So on the left side, I see that I can't really combine anything here. And then on the right side, I can't really combine anything either. So I'm going to go to step 3, where I get the variables on one side, constants on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 6y from both sides. On the left side, I know that 2y minus 6y is negative 4y, because 2 minus 6 is negative 4, and I'll just keep my y. Then I add 4, bring down my inequality symbol. On the right side, I just have 6 remaining, because these cancel out. So now I have my two-step inequality, so I'll subtract 4 from both sides. And then I'm going to bring down my negative 4y. Another thing that we keep forgetting is to bring down this entire term, the negative 4y. That's a very important part. Bring down my inequality symbol. 6 minus 4 I know is 2. So then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. And so I have y. Since I divided by a negative coefficient, I'm going to flip my inequality symbol. And so now I know that 2 divided by negative 4, or I can read this as 2/4, is the same as negative 1/2. So for number 1, you should have gotten y is less than or equal to negative 1/2. So let's see how you did with number 2. So remember, I have to distribute first, but here I don't see any parentheses, so I don't distribute anything. And then I also see that I can't really combine like terms on the left side or on the right side. So I'm going to skip to step 3, where I get all the variables on one side, the constants on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 24m from both sides. And then I know that 3m minus 24m is negative 21m, and I'll bring down my minus 6. Remember to bring down that minus 6. Then bring down the rest of my inequality. I know that these will cancel out, so I just have 15 left. And then I'm going to add 6 to both sides, because now it's a two-step. So I'm getting rid of my constant. So I have negative 21m remaining on the left side is greater than or equal to 21. And then the next thing I want to do is divide both sides by negative 21, because that's my coefficient. These will cancel out. And then since I divided by a negative coefficient, I'll flip my inequality symbol. 21 divided by negative 21 is negative 1. So for 2, you should have gotten m is less than or equal to negative 1. So here are 2 more practice problems.